The 90s had now become a decade for rallying as iconic as the 80s had been, but the main difference, however, was the now almost complete Japanese takeover that had taken place over the last few years. Despite the best efforts of brands like Lancia, who were once the undeniable #1 in the sport, the Japanese were simply too good at building and racing these modified turbocharged versions of road-going models. This takeover also dramatically lessened the number of manufacturers competing, simply because most didn't see any point in trying to win because there was no chance that they could. The 1995 World Rally Championship typifies this very well, as there were only 5 manufacturers competing, 3 of which were Japanese. Compare this, say, with the 1990 Championship from 5 years earlier, and you can really see how many more there were at that point. The 1995 season itself was actually shaping up to be an exciting one. Throughout the season, Toyota was building itself a nice lead over its main competitors, Subaru, and it looked certain that they were going to take the title. And as you probably guessed, the 1995 Constructors' title was taken by Toyota. Wait! No, it wasn't. You see, a few officials began to become suspicious of Toyota's winning streak. Perhaps it was just a little too good to be true. Cars were always inspected after each rally to make sure there were no cheats, and the Celica had passed each and every time with flying colours, but something was still off about the whole thing. Therefore, at Rally Catalunya, the penultimate rally of the season, it was discovered that actually Toyota had been using illegal turbo restrictors to boost their power beyond what was legal. It's quite complicated, but basically, and sorry if I'm wrong, when the restrictor plate was tightened into place, which in of itself was completely legal, an illegally fitted mechanism would also tighten, allowing a ½ centimeter bypass to open up around the plate. This seems completely insignificant, but actually the trick could have given the Celicas an extra 50 horsepower each, which is a sizable amount. Toyota and all their drivers, who were supposedly unaware of the cheat, were immediately disqualified, had all their points stripped from them, and were given a 1-year ban by the FIA. Many have come to call this the greatest and most sophisticated cheat in motorsporting history, and wouldn't have been caught if the officials hadn't been actively looking for illegal cheats. Therefore, the manufacturer's title was handed to Subaru, who were in second at the time, and the driver's title, who was originally going to be given to Kankkunen, was given instead to a lesser-known driver from Scotland called Colin Mccrae. Mccrae came from a family of rally drivers. His father, Jimmy Mccrae, won the British Rally Championship 5 times throughout the 1980s, and his brother Alistair also had a career in the sport. But Colin was much more of a wild card. No matter what car he was driving, whether it be his Impreza, the Legacy, or even a Talbot Sunbeam, Mccrae was known for pushing not only his car but himself and his co-drivers to the limit. Hell, it's where the phrase "if in doubt, flat out" originates. Because of this, Colin Mccrae has presented the world with some of the best crashes and rolls to grace the sport of rallying. The 1995 season, again, typified this, as with Toyota out of the picture, it was dead set that Subaru, as well as one of their drivers, were taking the title. Originally, it was planned by the team for another Subi driver, Spanish-born Carlos Sainz, to take the title, but Colin wasn't going to take this sidelining sitting down and took matters into his own hands. Despite the team begging Mccrae to slow down to let Sainz claim victory, he pushed ahead and got the trophy, leaving Sainz in second. This event caused Sainz to leave Subaru for Ford in the 1996 season. Speaking of the 1996 season, Subaru's dominance continued. However, with Toyota out for the year, a record low of just 3 manufacturers took part: Subaru, Ford and Mitsubishi. Subaru stormed into the lead once again and took the manufacturer's title, but even with Mccrae on side, they couldn't keep the driver's title from Tommi Mäkinen driving his Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 3. 1997 then came around, and with it some notable changes to the rules. As you know, the WRC has been operating under the Group A rule set for 10 years since 1987 at this point. The FIA decided to introduce a second rule set called the World Rally Car. However, initially, the FIA allowed manufacturers to choose what rule set to abide to. Subaru, Ford and Toyota all immediately switched to World Rally Car, but Mitsubishi was the only one that chose to remain under Group A, at least for now. The main difference was that manufacturers under World Rally Car no longer had to build homologation specials. They could take any of their road-going cars, modify it for rally and didn't have to worry about selling it to the public. The new rules also had limited power output to somewhere in the range of 320 to 340 brake horsepower. This new rule set would attract more manufacturers over the coming years, but the 1997 season was still a three-way battle between Subaru, Mitsubishi and Ford. Toyota also returned mid-season at Rally Finland, having dropped their Celica in favour of the Corolla WRC with a turbocharged 2-litre inline-4 making 299 horsepower. Subaru went on to claim their hat-trick by taking a third manufacturer's title, and Mäkinen got his second driver's title in his Evo 4, just 1 point ahead of Scotsman Colin Mccrae. 1998 was business as usual. Mitsubishi were finally able to kick Subaru off their podium with their first ever manufacturer's title, as well as earning Mäkinen his third consecutive driver's title as well. This part was a bit of a fluke, however. Carlos Sainz had been leading the pack and was dead set to win the title. However, in appallingly unlucky fashion, Sainz's Corolla broke down just 300 meters from the finish on the final stage of the RSC Rally, the last event of the year. Sainz was forced to retire and gave Mäkinen the title instead, therefore missing out on his second title by another tiny degree. 1999 came as the final year of the 20th century, and with it Toyota was able to take their third manufacturer's title after 5 years with the Corolla. Mäkinen claimed his fourth and final win for Mitsubishi, which is truly an incredible feat. A feat so incredible that Mitsubishi decided to honour him by launching a special version of the Evo 6 dubbed the Tommy Mäkinen Edition. It's regularly claimed to be one of, if not the single best Evos ever. Ford also upgraded this year, finally putting the lengthy Escort rallying legacy to bed by replacing it with the brand new Ford Focus RS WRC with Mccrae at the wheel. Like many of its peers, it was fitted with a turbocharged 2-litre inline-4 making about 300 horsepower. Other manufacturers were also joining the brawl, such as Seat, Skoda, Citroën and Hyundai. However, the late 90s had also gone on to show a few cracks in the rule set. Of course, World Rally Car had come along to modernise the championship, but it was becoming clearer and clearer that these four-wheel drive turbocharged WRC monsters might not be the completely dominant beast that they should be. From 1993 to 1999, the FIA also ran the 2-litre World Rally Cup. The rules stated that engines had displacements of no more than 2 litres, had to be front-wheel drive and had to be naturally aspirated. Because of these rules, the 2-litre and the 1.6-litre cars from the smaller class were much lighter than their WRC peers. Cars like the Peugeot 308 Maxi, the Renault Clio Maxi and the Seat Ibiza kit car were incredibly nimble on the tarmac. They began to dominate on tarmac heavy events like the Tour de Corsa and Rally Catalunya, even snatching away wins from the WRC teams themselves. Sure, they weren't going to keep up on gravel or snow, but their steamrolling of tarmac events made them appear more like circuit racers than outright rally cars. Despite them only operating for 6 years, it saw fierce competition. General Motors took the title in 1993, Skoda in 1994, Peugeot in 1995, Seat got a hat-trick from 1996 to 1998, and Renault took the last championship in 1999. The FIA chose to rework the championships. The 1.6-litre class would be replaced by the Super 1600 Junior World Rally Championship, and the 2-litre class would be replaced by the Super 2000 Production World Rally Championship, all in an attempt to bring better balance. With all these changes happening in such a short amount of time, going into the 21st century had rallying looking a lot different from years past. The Japanese had managed to dominate for almost a decade, but with new rules attracting new manufacturers to join the fray, would it last?